Hello, folks. Welcome to season 3 of our On the Pole series produced by the Stars Among Us. And this is Ozzy, and I thank you for tuning in to this thank you tour of mine, as each episode is a thank you card to someone who has impacted my life. I'm shining light on Vashti De Verteuil. Hello, Vashti.
Hello.
Hello. It has been a little while since we last had a conversation for my YouTube series, The Stars Among Us, which started this whole crazy journey back in 2019. Just so that my audience knows a little bit about you, Vashti is a designer, created designs for Parisian couture houses such as Yves Saint Laurent. She's designed for personal clients such as Susan Sarandon, Helen Mirren, and in her heyday has been friends with such interesting people that I would love to have known, like Keith Haring. We never really talked about him. We glossed over that. But Vash, what was he like?
He was very, very humble guy. Very quiet, never loud. Had lots and lots of friends and loved music. You had music all day in his apartment. I lived below him in the apartment under him. And there was music. When you did not hear the music, you know that he was not at home.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first moved to the building, he had his studio in the basement. Mm-hmm. So the music used to come from the basement. And then, of course, he moved and got his studio in the cable building. Mm-hmm. And then the music would be on when he was at home, if he wasn't painting, you know. Mm-hmm. But very humble. He would always come and drop off all the invitations to all the art exhibitions, art shows, and all the galleries in Soho. Mm-hmm. He would just put it under my door. If there was a party going on at Area or any one of the big clubs, he would just push it under my door, give me an invitation. Mm-hmm. He was a very lovely man. Mm. And he would say to me, you know, anytime you hear the music, you should come up and meet some people. Mm-hmm. But I think I went up once, but, you know, I was designing and, you know, they were very young people, so I really didn't hang out too much with them. Mm-hmm. But we would meet at the mailbox and we'll have like 15-minute chats at the mailbox, you know. Mm-hmm. And then once we traveled together to Paris.
Really?
Same flight, right? Because he was doing a lot of work in Europe. Mm-hmm. And I had moved from the building and I was living on First Street and First Avenue, and that's when I started working for Yves Saint Laurent. And I was traveling and we were on the same flight going to Paris. Mm. We did not sit next to each other, but he was on the same flight. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You lived for over 30 years in the same area. You know, Lower East Side is your home.
Right. I moved from Soho to the Bowery, and then I moved from the Bowery to the Lower East Side, and then to the East Village.
On your block, your particular block, you spend most of your years there. But that was a pretty famous block as well, especially within the hip hop world.
Well, in the hip hop world and in the real 80s fashion world.
Right.
I mean, big designers were coming down to the East Village to either get ideas or rub shoulders with young artists, you know. Mm-hmm. Stephen Sprouse, you know, he was one guy who was an East Villager, and many others. And you would see Calvin Klein and all these other designers hanging out in the East Village. I guess either looking for ideas or looking for new designers to hire.
You have a lot of celebrities in that area.
Well, we always had celebrities, but they were very low-keyed at the time. Some of them lived in Gramercy, but hung out a lot in the East Village. And some of them lived on 10th Street, you know, in these townhouses on 10th Street. And they lived in the area right there. Yep. So the East Village has been synonymous with artists. I mean, what's his name?
You had Jay-Z in that area.
But
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z was opposite. They were making music in the basement. Well, the thing is, the East Village, when I moved here, it was mainly Ukrainian and Polish. I mean, you had maybe, I would say, 3 or 4 Polish meat shops between First Avenue and Second Avenue. And that was between, I would say, from 12th Street down to 2nd Street. Now we only have one left, Baczynski. And all the others, you know, I guess the people retired, their children didn't want to carry it on. And, you know, they either rented the building, the storefronts, or they sold the building and moved away, you know. But this neighborhood, the only thing that have withstood the test here is Veselka.
Right.
They have been here since 1956.
Wow.
Yep. They have been here. And now, I mean, even through the pandemic, they were the only restaurant that was really booming. Because from day one, they had takeout. And you could just go to the window, order, and the menu was posted on the window. And you can just order, or you can go on their website and order.
So let me ask you, what turned you to teaching? Because you've been teaching now for maybe 30 years.
30, yeah. Well, you know, teaching came, I don't know, I was doing a show in the Wall Street area, which I had never done in that area. But this woman, she was connected with Wall Street at some time in her career. So she organized a show down there. And after the show ended, she handed me this card. And it says Assistant Director, Parsons Fashion Department, you know. And she said they want you to call them sooner than later. And then the other school that I teach at, remember that I teach at that school, that again fell into my lap in the Diamond District. So I teach in a jewelry school, and I also teach at Parsons. And this woman was a client of mine. She used to purchase things in my store, and then we chatted, and she said she was opening a small school because she think there's a niche for it. And I said, you should, you know, because you don't want to wake up when you're 65 and say, oh, I always wanted to do this. I said, you should just run with it. I saw her a year later, and she said, you know, I opened my school, and if you ever have the time, I would like you to teach for me. And I said, oh, but right now, I really don't have the time, you know. 2 years later, when I was closing my store, she called me about something, and I said, you know, I'm closing my store in January. She said, oh, I would love you to teach for me. So I closed my store on the 16th of January, and I started teaching for her on the 26th of January.
Wow.
Yes. So that again, I have never gone out looking for work since I went into my own business.
But now you're working in a different way.
Yes.
Explain how that is, because it seems so difficult.
It is difficult. You know, teaching online has its own set of intricacies, you know. But teaching clothing design, where you have to make patterns and you have to explain about measurements, that's even more challenging. And Parsons has a very complicated platform that we have to do this on. The students are very, very anxious to come back to campus.
Sure.
Because a lot of things get lost in translation.
Yeah, the tactile part of what you do.
Of course, because, you know, you can't drape. You can't go through, every student doesn't have a dress form. Only one student in the class has a dress form. So you can't drape anything because the others don't. So what I'm doing now, it's like I'm back at FIT because I'm drafting patterns from scratch. So if I need to make a bodice, I have to take a plain piece of paper and I have to calculate all the measurements and start putting the lines down, and then they see that it's taking shape. But while I'm doing that, I have to make the video and tell them how I'm doing this and the next step and the next step. And it's really, in the beginning, it was a nightmare.
Sure.
To be making the video and talking, and I had never done that before.
Do you enjoy making the videos?
No. Because, you know, I have a very small space to do this. If I had my big work table, it would be fun, but I'm operating on this new counter that I built here during the summer. And it's only 30 inches, probably by 36 inches. I feel as though I'm back in school. You know?
So let me ask you, what has become your vice food for COVID?
My vice food? My vice food was always dark chocolate, and it still is. I keep my diet very good.
Right.
I kept my diet.
Yes.
And chocolate and red wine, that's basically my vice, you know.
Would you say that would those, or either one would be your comfort food as well?
Well, the chocolate was my comfort food. I ate a lot of chocolate.
And are you a dark chocolate person?
Only because I am allergic to milk, so I can't do milk things at all. So it's always dark chocolate. So I had bought all different types of dark chocolates. Because I didn't want to get too heavy on the wine, because I read how people were becoming alcoholic.
Right.
Lockdown.
Right. So
I was limiting myself to maybe 3 times a week a glass of wine. Yeah.
What has been an upside to this crazy time?
The upside, I'll tell you something. When we had lockdown, I was extremely exhausted and tired from working. And what this did for me, it gave me downtime to look at my space that I wanted to improve on. So last summer, and not even summer, I started in the summer and I finished in the fall, late fall. I kind of redid my apartment. Yeah, you know, because it needed something to upgrade. And I said, if I have to spend this much time in it, I should really do something about it. And I did, and I'm really, really happy about it.
And I can't wait to see that magnificent place that is all surround sound.
Yes. And then, you know, I have to put up all and I acquired, believe it or not, I acquired maybe 5 new pieces of art during COVID.
Wow. Wow.
So I still haven't put up all my art. I put away the Keith Haring, I put away my de Kooning, because I have so many other things to put up.
What would be your thoughts, your overall thoughts of the political arena? Of 2020, we know what it was before, we know, you know, but...
You mean, you're talking about currently?
Currently.
Well, I would say currently we are trying, I think the present administration is trying to put things back on track by, you know, kind of getting back with different countries to revive the relationship again. Some of it that was damaged. And I think they're working hard to do that. So that's a good thing. And then, you know, but the thing about the children on the border, this is the 4th administration that this is going on with. But I think that when people saw that changed, the administration changed, they felt it will be easier with Biden because he's a man of compassion.
Right.
So I think that these people started coming in droves. And I think that will be one of the things that the opposition would jump on the bandwagon saying he's not doing a good job. Mm-hmm. But the last 3 or 4 administrations have not done a good job with that.
Right.
And he took it in really a bad situation. He took over. So I think they need time to work this out, and I hope they can come up with a plan that really works. But it's a very difficult situation. And, you know, with everyone now, what I say that everyone has to have somebody to hate. So now they're hating the Asians. You see, Black lives went down, you know, different things have gone down, and now they turn on the Asians. Because this country, mental illness is an epidemic in this country. And the guns that are on the streets, I don't know how they are going to get rid of it. But if they don't do something about that, it's only going to get worse. So I don't know if they can turn back the clock on that, because it's really, really bad. But I get tired of the labeling of things. And yesterday on LinkedIn, I saw this young woman from Africa. She founded this company. And she said on LinkedIn, she wrote it, her name, and she goes, Black and woman founder. And she said, I'm taking out the Black and the woman. I'm just a founder. And this has been my thing all along. I talk about this with people. I said, I remember when they wanted me to join the Black Designers Association, and I go, I'm just a designer. If you can't see me, who I am, when you see me coming, you know who I am. I am not putting these labels, because what you do, I think, Ozzy, you put yourself in a box. And I think women and people of color should start taking that label off them and just saying, I am a designer, I am an architect, I am whatever, I'm a filmmaker. And I know the reason why it's like that, but I think we have to start taking these walls down. Because somehow we stay in that box. I know a lot of people will not agree with me, and that's okay, but this is how I think.
So now we're at the stage, the vaccine stage. And you just had your first. What would you say to people as to why they should get it?
If you want to do certain things in the world, you should be vaccinated. You know, I think it will become something that when you are traveling overseas, when you arrive at your destination, they would want to know if you have been vaccinated. So it's a worldwide thing. So I think for that reason, people, if they plan to move around the world, I think that you should be vaccinated. Am I 100% for vaccinations? Absolutely not. And people say, oh, I took the Moderna, I took the Pfizer, I took the Johnson. I say, none of this stuff is good for you. So whichever one you take, it doesn't really matter. I would like to move around the world, and I don't want to get to a place and they say, okay, we are going to keep you in this hotel for 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, or you can't come in.
Right.
Because you should be vaccinated.
Right.
I don't want to have these problems if I take a trip anywhere.
Right.
But I will continue to be vigilant about wearing a mask. I think mask is going to stay with us for a very long time because it's not everyone who wants to be vaccinated. And you know, that is their prerogative and that's their right if they don't want to. For people who say, I am totally against it, I go, whatever your view is, you're a human being and you have your rights.
with the variants coming into play and the after effects, what they call the long-term effects, I just said to myself, you know what?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, because the thing for me, I totally agree with what you just said, because I believe that the variants, and there will be more and more viruses that will continue to come up in the next several years.
Yes.
And I can see this vaccine thing. It's not like when you took a malaria or a polio vaccine, it lasted you for maybe all your life, right? I think this is going to become like a flu vaccine, that you have to keep repeating it. Because now when I read about it, they're saying that the Pfizer is only going to last for 6 months. And some of the others would even last for less. So I'm saying, do we have to take this twice a year? Do we have to take it, if you took it in January and you're traveling in December, does it mean you have to take another one? Or does it become something like the flu vaccine? And these are the questions that I have, and I'm waiting to see when the authorities would come up with the answers. Because no one really knows right now.
And that's the other reason I decided, you know what, let me take this. Variants, the long term, the people, the spike, and that they are still learning about this stuff.
Well, the COVID is detrimental.
That's the one.
Vaccine is not as detrimental. You might have some side effects, but it's not detrimental.
Right.
So for me, I think the wise thing to do and the smart thing to do is to take it.
Yes.
And let's wait and see how they will continue to develop.
Right.
The ones that they've already come up with, or if they're going to come up with new ones, because I think these variants will be with us for a long time.
Yeah.
We have to protect ourselves as much as we can.
Yes. And others.
We have to, yes, and others. And we have to be careful and keep vigilant about reading what they're coming up with, how they're improving it, the percentages of people who may die from it, you know, after taking it, or how it will affect different people. And I think that's why they give people a card with the lot number of where the vaccine comes from. So they can check these things. If, let's say, 20 people from that lot didn't fare too well with it, then I think that they can check on that and know what percentages from where it's affecting people in a bad way, you know.
So one of the things that I know that you've given yourself, and you have been for a while, but maybe, I don't know if you're doing more often, is going to the spa.
Yes, I want to do that once a month now.
Right.
I hadn't done it for a long, long time. And I'll tell you, people have to be really careful with their mental health.
Yes.
Because, you know, people who are not used to being alone, especially young people, they're suffering a lot.
Yes.
I mean, I talk to my students and they go, well, I'd like to come back to campus. I can only see my kitchen wall because they have to work in their kitchen. You know, they can't be working in their parents' living room. And some of them are working in their room. And, you know, I want to meet my friends, you know. So young people, you know, if you have lived alone, like I have lived alone, so being alone didn't really bother me too much. And then, of course, my friends, I was on the telephone a lot. We were talking a lot. Even my friends abroad, in Europe and in the Caribbean, I was speaking to them. If you have lived alone and you're an adult and you're a certain age, you're used to living alone. And, you know, when I still went out, you know, because I just took more precaution. I used to wear the gloves and, you know, all that stuff. there were times when I was tired of it and I just wanted to go out and be just like, do whatever I wanted to do. But I know I couldn't. But it did not affect me as much as some younger people I've heard from. Yes, it really affected them.
Really love you. I really love that you've been in my life. I love that we can talk at any time about anything, just anything. And also that you're such a, such a like a library of information. You read up on things. What we talk about is always very relative, very topical. And I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of your life, your life, what you've done for others, how you're there for others. And that the fact that you're still teaching, you're still finding joy in teaching, you're still finding joy in life. There are a lot of people I've spoken with who had lots of problems with their mental wellness. And you have been strong, as you always have been. And of course, as humans, we have our down days, but you have always been a source of strength. And I wanted to really have you on again to, say again that I love you, I appreciate you. I really value our friendship.
Thank you so much. I value our friendship too, Ozzy. And I know that we have had our space-time away from each other in different years because we were on different paths, doing different things. But when we came together, it was like yesterday,
Yes.
And I think that's what real friendship is.
Yes.
But if we could accept the flaws of each other,
right,
and keep looking at the good things, that we have shared, or about this person, what's good about that person, I think that's what keeps good friendships going.
That's right.
And because if you're looking for perfection, you have to leave this earth and go somewhere else.
I like that.
So, some people think they are perfect,
So, and with that, folks, my lovely audience, thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share. Remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny side of the street safely and mask up. Vash, this has been wonderful.
Thank you. And it was wonderful. And you have a great time going forward with all your podcasts.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.
Bye. Bye-bye.